wondered what it would be like instead of playing all the games that we tend to play if we just traded by watching what the top VC firms are doing? If we just copy pasted exactly every trade they made, what would happen? So what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. I've been taking a couple of days off with me wallowing in my deep sadness of how the markets have gone down, and really December being the month that so many people said it would moon, and it's looking like it's not going to end up doing so. So what I decided to do is kind of look at what some of the top VC firms are doing, specifically A16z, which I think is the top VC firm in the world right now in crypto. And what would have happened if I just copy pasted every single trade they did? What would my returns be in 2021? So that's exactly what we're going to break down in this video, step by step, exactly every move they've made. And if we were to buy the coins at that exact time when they announced that they have invested in that company, what would our returns be? So if you guys like these kind of videos, please go down below, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and please bear in mind that nothing I say is financial advice. It's just something that I'm checking out and sharing my experience. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Now, the first thing I wanted to give you guys an introduction on is who is really behind these companies, right? Andreessen Horowitz, their introduction to Wikipedia says a private American venture capital founded in 2009 by Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz. And you kind of wonder, like, why does a guy who looked like this be able to trade so well? And even if you think it's not him doing all the trading behind the scenes, and you think it's someone like this guy running the show, that doesn't make it any better. And if you don't know who these guys are, the first one was Mark Andreessen, obviously. The second one is Balaji Srinivasan, which is he was the CTO of Coinbase and known as one of the top thought leaders in the entire space. Every serious crypto person really respects them to a high degree, from all the way from venture capitalists to all the way down to like people who are actually building the protocols and whatnot. So having that said, what kind of returns have these kind of teams been able to do across the board? What the tools I want to be using is their website, where they list out all the companies that they're invested in. And then also I'm going to be using Crunchbase to take a look at which companies they have invested in and which dates they got into it. That will let us know what price point we could have entered being in retail. So going into their portfolio to the very top, there's going to be a lot of companies that does not have a coin, right? So those are things that we can't, as a retail, unfortunately, are able to really get into at this time because they're just getting an equity deal. So we'll be going into the coins that does have a token that we're able to buy off some kind of exchange. So the first one we have here is Arweave. So Arweave, I'm not going to go too much into like what the coin does, but basically it's kind of known as one of the best ways to store your data in the blockchain world, right? It's the best Web3 storage. It competes with things like Filecoin. So these guys got into Arweave like in 5M led by A16z in November 5th, 2019. So if I go into the chart and go into Arweave, do all November 19th, you'll see that it's not even 2019 is not even in the chart. So what I decided to do for these kind of coins is if they got into something and it's not in CoinMarketCap, the coins itself is not released yet, I'm just going to assume that we got an average buy-in within the first 2 weeks of it actually being on CoinMarketCap, available on exchanges, etc. So at this price, our price point would have been roughly, give or take, anywhere from 70 cents to about like $1 roughly, right? And with that being calculated in, Arweave would have gotten us a 48x, because currently the price is at around $48. So you would have gotten around $1, or I counted as around $1, but technically if you got in right as soon as it came in, you could have gotten it under $1. Okay, so boom, first investment from A16z, pretty much knocked it out of the park. And they got this a while back in 2019 in the depths of the bear market. Okay, moving on, the next one that comes to play here, none other than Ava Labs. And you know who Ava Labs created? Avalanche. So they got into this coin right around 2018, somewhere in 2018. Now, it doesn't again matter exactly when they got in, because in retail, AVAX was available not before 2019, right? So if we got a buy-in right around $4.5, probably actually less, $4 to $3.5 if you got in the first 1 or 2 weeks, that would give us a return of 20x. First one 40x, 48x, AVAX 20x. And mind you, I'm calculating these returns right now in December 6th, which is the markets, just got quite a bit of a tank, right? But nevertheless, going into back into their portfolio, there's a bunch that comes in. Axoni, Bitski, these don't have coins, but Celo does. So there we go, Celo. April 2nd, 2019. April 2nd, 2019, boom, it's not available again. You see the very first date came out, it was a little bit high, like $2.50, but it's right around $1.50, $1.70 around the first 1 or 2 weeks, give or take. And if we got into this one, the return, right now the price has tanked a lot. It's $3.06, 60 cents. It was $7, $6, $7 not too long ago. But right now, at this point, it's $3.60. And the return for that one would have been, Celo is 2.4x. All right, scrolling down, the next one that they have is DeFi, Definity, which is basically ICP. All right, ICP in the beginning was pretty high, and then the cost buy-in would have been pretty high too. It's around $300, $280 to $300. That's being generous. It could have been actually, it could be lower, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just being a little bit harder on them just to show, like, if we were to get, jump in right when it came out. And if you got this around $300 price point, this actually went down about 90%, right? So you put 300 bucks in, you have 30 bucks left, 90% went down. Now, here's a very important thing that needs to be said about VC, is that their business model works for things like this. They know that if they get something, the potential for it to go is 40, 50, 100, 150x, but the potential for it to lose their money is just 1x. So while everything else has been in x's, 2.4, 20x, 48x, this one is in percentage. It's negative 90%. The next one that we have is HNS, which stands for handshake. And they basically brought this out initially when it was around 8 cents, but you could have, in the first 1 or 2 weeks, your cost basis would have been around 10 to 15, 17 cents or so. I count around 15 cents, which right now is around 30 cents, right? So it's less than like a 2x here, but if we count it exactly from, like, averaged it out, HNS would be actually a little bit less than a 2x. It's a 1.7x, because there was a spike up between that initial period when it came in. And if you dollar cost average it around that time, you probably might have not gotten a 2x flat. All right, moving on to the next one is Keep Network. If you were to get into it, you'd get somewhere between 40 to 50 cents within these cost bases. And by this time, it's a good time to mention that it's not really the best thing to do to jump into something right when it gets launched. It's always good to wait a little bit, even like a week or two, as you can see, for it to calm down a little bit before you get in. Okay, and for this one, the returns would have been, let me go into it, 2.3x. Okay. Moving on from Keep Network, the next one is MakerDAO, like $300 to $400, give or take. And right now it's at a 2,648. So they did pretty good with this one. And this did a total of 11x. So far, the third highest profitable coin into the portfolio thus far. Moving on, Manifold was next, and I actually was keeping an eye when Manifold got launched, because not too long ago, around like $40–50 in October, it got launched. Now, it was already going, but when they launched it, investing in Manifold, and they put it on their website, that's the time I'm counting it from, and that was in October, and it's around $40–50. And right now, it's actually under they're losing around, around 46 or 48% of the value is down. So the returns on this I put down as 64%. It's down by 46%, so you have 64% of your investment left. So you'll see how this plays out when we calculate it in the end. So next one is OXT. It's basically, they came down, it was around 30 cents, and then down to like 15 cents if you waited a little bit longer, but around 30 to 25 cents in the beginning, and right now it dipped down to around 41 cents, giving us roughly about 1.2 to 1.5x. You can run it off to 1.5x, given that like if you dollar cost average in the first couple of weeks, and we put it down here at that kind of price point. All right, moving on, Uniswap is next, and this has been, something that I feel like a lot of people actually called in the interviews. I watch a lot of interviews with people, and I see many people during the beginning of the year was bullish on Uniswap because of the number of people that were already using it and whatnot. But basically, if you were to get into it in the first couple of weeks, you'd have gotten at $3-4, and right now it's at around $17, 5.6x. So far so good, pretty good investment, even though markets are down. Not too bad, not too shabby. All right, moving on, Oasis Network. This is something that has been getting a lot of attention, and something I actually invested quite heavily into in like June, July month. So I got it around 4 or 5 cents. I had a pretty good entry point. And this is another thing I wanted to say to you guys, is that if you see a coin that they invest in, it goes up and it comes back to the original, around the original price where it was launched at, I haven't seen much coins go below their original price point. It's another thing to give you confidence that it's a good entry point for that project. Anyways, having that said, if you got around the beginning first couple of weeks, you would have gotten around 3 to 5 cents, and right now it's 24 cents. So if we go back to our chart, and Rose is at a 8.3x. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright guys, so far things have been going pretty smooth, and now I'm going to bring the granddaddy of all investments, and this one needs no introduction, and that is Solana. They invested in this quite late, given how early they are to so many projects, and this thing used to be like crazy low. Dollar in early 2020, like around March, April 2020, you could have gotten this thing around 50 cents. Insane returns. But they actually got into this actually not too long ago. It's in June, July of 2021. And at that price, it was already around $35, $40 per Solana, and currently it's at a 191, giving it a 4.5x. So there you have it, guys. Wanted to go through and show what it would be like to see if we were to keep track on one of the top VC firms, if not the top VC firms in the world right now, and invest exactly when they're investing into these coins, what kind of returns we would get. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this calculation, which I'm going to get into real quick. But before I get into that, the grand finale is if we were to put $10,000 in the beginning of the year on each of these coins, right? Given that there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 coins. So you're basically, if you had to put 10,000, it's like 110,000 investment. You would have, right now, even with the market dipping, you would have been at $1,034,000. All right, returns in this year thus far. Now, here's the caveat. Did A16z, their whole portfolio, get a 10x this year? No. They did way better than a 10x. Because you have to remember, VCs get coins at very low prices than it's available to retail. For example, for Solana, even if you got it like the earliest possible in the chart, it's 50-60 cents. But VCs, there was a big round at 20 cents. And then there was even a bigger round at the very beginning. If you're one of the early investors, seed round for Solana, you could have gotten the coin at 4 cents. That's from 4 cents to when the earliest retail could possibly get is already a 10x. right? So VCs can get a much better entry point than the average person. I'm not saying A16z did with this particular one because they got in like pretty late in this project, but especially with their early ones, Arweave and whatnot, I'm pretty sure they got a pretty sweet deal in terms of the token, and also the equity they get on the company is calculated differently, right? That's a whole piece of the entire company they get. That's one thing to keep in mind. But all that being said, the important point of this video is if you are to right now look at your portfolio from the beginning of the year, a lot of us would realize that we probably did not beat the market, right? And beating the market is basically if you were to buy, let's say, the top ones, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum from the beginning. A lot of people probably didn't even beat that because Ethereum in the beginning, like January, I believe it was like around 1,000, and Bitcoin was like 30K. So if you got at least like a 3x in your entire portfolio from January 2021 to now, then you probably beat the market. But even if you beat the market, if you were to copy trade some of the best VCs, a lot of people would not get a 10x, which is actually a significant amount of ROI for the entire portfolio. I've gotten a few 10x's for certain coins, but for my entire portfolio, not even close to a 10x. So that's the point of the video, and I hope this made sense. Hope you got something out of it. If you like these kind of videos, guys, please go down below and like, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications if you want to get these kind of videos a little bit faster. And if you'd want me to do a video on what A16z is currently looking at, the project they're currently about to invest or recently invested, me doing a deep dive on them, and if it's a good time for us to get in, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a video going deep dive into that. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon.